皆さんようこそお帰りなさいませ。Welcome back。皆さんお帰りなさい。非常に時間通りにご協力して動いていただいてありがとうございます。皆さんいかがでしたでしょうか。公民館は。Very good, thank you。ありがとうございます。大変良いということで、多分皆さんたくさんですね、コーヒー、抹茶、お餅、お腹いっぱいになったんじゃないかと思いますが大好きです。そうこれからディスカッションでしっかり考えていただいて、またお腹を空かして次のランチに行けるように皆さんしっかり考えていきましょう。よろしくお願いします。はい。はい、で引き続き発表を続けていきたいと思います。再びファシリテーターのお二人にバトンを渡しますので。
Thank you very much.
Thank you. お願いします。
Now we open our second set of presentations, and we are happy to welcome our friend, Mr. Ade from Indonesia, to start his sharing. Okay.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, moderator, Madam Jen and Kominko. My name is Ade Kusmiadi, Director of Center for Development of Early Childhood, Non-Formal and Informal Education, Ministry of Education and Culture, Indonesia. In this very good occasion, we would like to give presentation with the topic promoting innovation literacy education in coping with natural disaster, focus to the model strategy for the development of natural disaster literacy program. This is one of the literacy model in Indonesia, particularly in our center. The outline in this presentation, the first background and the second objective, and outreach, program delivery, program result, monitoring and evaluation, sustainability, innovative feature, and challenges. Like you know that Indonesia is a country in the Ring of Fire area, the ring area where the minerals and natural gas lay in the deep of Indonesia ocean and earth. It makes Indonesia rich in minerals and natural gas, and also make Indonesia have fertile soil. And according to the video here, not working. Help me. Yeah. This is the short video. Geographically, Indonesia is an archipelago country. In the southern and eastern part of Indonesia, there is a volcano belt that extends from the island of Sumatra, Java, Nusa Tenggara, and Sulawesi, like you see in the this is the Indonesia archipelagos, and we back to the video. The geographical condition of Indonesia make the country prone to natural disaster. The natural disaster that could potentially happen in Indonesia are volcano eruption, and then earthquake, tsunamis, flood, and landslide. Yeah. You should start. Yeah. No problem. Yeah. This one graphic about natural disaster, the victim in Indonesia. According to the graphic, you see the red one is the tsunami. Ini according to the victim, but according to the frequent natural disaster, flood is very big and very hard, and the second, landslide. And because of this situation, our center needs some strategies to make the pilot project and model to prevent and to handle victim and refugees. Because of this, natural disaster literacy program is developed by our center. The first developing curriculum, the first promotion of the disaster risk reduction knowledge in community learning center, and the second one, integration of disaster reduction in literacy learning material, and the third one, implementation of disaster mitigation in CLC, and the fourth, development of training and learning program in disaster risk reduction targeted at specific areas and community-based. And the fifth, improvement the rule volunteer as appropriate to enhance local capacities. This program integrated in promoting ESD. The objective from this pilot project, because of the natural disaster literacy program is mainly conducted to guide the victim in handling and coping with a disaster. In addition, it stimulated knowledge to the illiterate people on how to be aware about the disaster and how to keep the environment wisely. In line with it, the specific objective of this program or this project as developing curriculum literacy component atau kompetensi based on the standard competency of basic literacy and standard competency of entrepreneurship literacy or income generating program. The curriculum, beside it, the curriculum content appropriate with the natural disaster. And the second one, implementing literacy acceleration. The program is implemented to support the national program on multi-literacy program, including literacy education for climate change, and as one of the elements integrated with literacy initiative for empowerment in Indonesia. Particularly developed by Directorate of Community Education, Minister of Education and Culture of Indonesia. And the third objective, expanding access of literacy. And the fourth, providing training of quick disaster response for the committee of CLC and other non-formal education unit. And the fifth, establishing community learning hub for the natural disaster mitigation. And the sixth, producing learning material in relation to natural disaster mitigation. The seventh, providing literacy service for disaster refugees. And the eighth, establishing the first provider of emergency response service. And the CLC, Community Learning Hub, and Community Reading Center are the organization which have responsibility to provide my information about the natural disaster. The outreach for this program, we have three aspects. The first aspect, main target group, it is the group of illiterate people, lower and middle class society, and school dropout and women or girls who don't have a chance to get the higher school. It is according to the problem in the field around the disaster happen. And the outreach to the location, the project, Merapi Mountains in Central Java and Yogyakarta, because the Merapi Mountain is located bordering between Central Java and Yogyakarta province. the number of participants like you see in the table. And the program delivery from this pilot project, like you see the structure and mechanism, this is the paradigm and the model, but we can't do infinite detail because we have limited time. Considering with government policy and condition of the victim, because many kind of the problem in the field is very specific, particularly in around Merapi, around surrounding volcanoes eruption. But the important thing, the program, the first one we invite the partnership and socialization about our design project, and then we conduct a capacity building development, and we serve the activities learning process in the field is very specific term. And the next slide we will give you about variable in this paradigm. Teaching and learning methodology ini fokus to approaching participatory approach by integrating life skill into literacy program, mother tongue based approach and joyful learning approach, and empowerment approach and promoting ESD. This is one packet and all of inside it in the integrated packet approaching. And teaching learning material is related with the material, it means is the subject. The curriculum for basic literacy and to develop curriculum for entrepreneurship or income generating and promoting ESD. This is built in the one developing learning material or subject. Like you see in the development curriculum for basic literacy, we have 4 stages. The stage 1, according to make the people or refugees or victim understanding short text with simple repetitive language pattern on natural disaster, climate change, and promoting ESD. And the second one, able to gain information from general sign and symbol of natural disaster, climate change, and promoting ESD in sample 1. And until the stage 4, we inform them and we learn them complicated one. This is stepping and graduating. And then this the curriculum entrepreneurship literacy. It is the same, but it is focused to the identifying the type of enterprise with potential to be developed appropriate in the condition of natural disaster, climate change, and promoting ESD, and then to become the people and the learner writing and communicating of self-enterprise to be developed. This is the lower level, the simple, and the stage 4, maintaining the basic literacy competency with running the enterprise. So literacy and income generating or enterprise is integrated with project, but ESD as a mainstream and inside each stage. Learning material development will be developed divide to mind. The first divide to the two kind. The first kind conventional development. Conventional is related with the manual and printed material, guideline, leaflet, comic, and electric digital. But in the subject and inside this learning material, usually is already given from the central and another agent. But we have the unconventional development learning material. This is related with the environment, surrounding natural resources, relate with the how when the people living and when the refugees came are there. And training for the teacher, the training doctor, our center provide the training of trainers for literacy education and life skill tutors. The center invite the facilitator with high competency and capability as the trainer to deliver some training from the community and from our partner in the center of Java. Capacity building development will be conduct two kind. The first kind will be capacity building directly in the field, like social mobilization, particularly to invite the partner and local stakeholder. And the second one, field technical orientation. This is the same like in the field, yeah? Because the situation is very dangerous. This is very different with the normal situation. And our center develop capacity building, focus to workshop on development of program and workshop on learning material development, and then workshop on training design, and we make the model finalization. If the model and the pilot project was running, we call if the model field tested, and then dissemination of literacy disaster program to outside on another area, another province. Yeah, and we use the ICT. The program use information and communication technologies, media, such communication, radio, computer, utility, and TV. And the very important one is, but in our center, we already have the disaster laboratory. Is the very modern because we have high technology like you see in the video. This is used from child until adult. Program result, the program result, we have two results. The learners have the competency of literacy based on the standard of literacy competency. They got certificate, and the program result minimize the effect of trauma caused by the disaster. This is monitoring and evaluation, maybe not too different with the another. Sustainability of the institution development by providing entrepreneurship program for community learning center to equip them with financial independency. There are two CLC of natural disaster project. This is a specific natural disaster project, but outside this still have many CLC. And the second one, sustainability of the literacy achievement designed by expanding access for reading materials, the provision community reading center. In public area, in the project area, there are a number of community reading centers, about 11 reading centers spread in 11 villages. And in the number 4, sustainability of laboratory specifically designed for natural disaster literacy program by expanding and providing electric device in the laboratory located in the center. This is many kind of information on disaster in the world, and in the Indonesia is already have, and electric bees. And the conclusion, yeah, some superior achievement of this model, very specific, focus on natural disaster literacy. Generic model can be adapted on other natural disasters such as flood, slide of hill, storm, and the long time life at the refugees camp. Yeah. And the last one, after the running this project, we have still challenges and constraints. Particularly, we have many, but the very important thing, one is the lack of comprehensive of community toward the modern equipment for minimizing the disaster impact. This is the hard problem. And the one, this is the modern era, but in the field is still there. Village commonly believe in myth and tradition. This is very difficult to change to the new era, new vision relate with the modern perspective. Maybe this, that's all my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ade. I'm sure our colleagues have very many questions about the comprehensive presentation, but we will need to go right away to the last presentation by our colleague from the Philippines, Mr. Ramon Mapa.
So good morning, everyone. So it's a pleasure for me to be here in Okayama, and I'm very happy to see your Kominkan, your Community Learning Center. So to start with, I'm from the Philippines. Okay, so then I will be making actually my presentation will be about disaster risk reduction education, but our focus is more on training and capacity building of educators, teachers, community-based facilitators regarding disaster risk reduction education, and how this relates to education for sustainable development. So I'm from the Philippines. It's not working. Is this? Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So I'm from the Philippines, and specifically in the northern part of the Philippines, which is the city of Baguio. We are in the northern top, the northern Luzon province of Philippines is around, I think, 7,100 islands, and it's divided into three different island groups. Luzon on the top, it's Luzon, and then in the middle, Visayas, and then Mindanao. And where our project area is located in what we call the Cordillera Administrative Region. This consists of around 6 provinces, and it is home to what we call the indigenous peoples of the northern Philippines, more popularly known as Igorots. So this is a mountainous area, and this is where actually is the summer capital of the Philippines is. So it's a cold area, and it's a good area. So the weather is good. Okay, so we have free air conditioning every year. Okay, so similar with the other presentation, Philippines it lies in the Pacific Ring of Fire. It also lies in what we call the typhoon belt. So Philippines is also one of the countries that is most prone to disasters. So we have an average, I think, of 20 typhoons per year, and I think you know that last year we just had a major typhoon that devastated the Visayas area of the Philippines, as Typhoon Haiyan. Okay, and then if we look at the vulnerability of the Philippines, I mean it's not simply about because people are not prepared, but if we look at there are complex factors that causes why the Philippines is very much vulnerable. So one thing is that most of the people are exposed, and this is due to poverty. One thing is that a lot of people resides along the coastal area. A lot of people reside in mountainous area where hazards, where the risk of landslides are very likely. And this is the reason is that this is where their source of livelihood is. And then when you go to the urban area, it's so dense. I mean, it's so overpopulated. So you could imagine that. And then another thing that causes our being prone to disaster is that because of the environmental degradation. I mean, we've lost almost 80% of our forest, and this is one major cause of major floods. Not just simply floods. I mean, we are experiencing what we call not simply landslide or mudslide, it's debris. It's, imagine a mass of water and mud with rocks and huge chunks of wood coming from the forest. I mean, that is quite, it's a total disaster. So that's one thing, environmental degradation. And then another one is that we have to admit that we have problems with governance, especially at the local level, the local government units. One is that disaster risk reduction is not a priority. And then at the same time, we have problems of misuse of public funds. And in most, some government projects, especially infrastructure projects, there's always this misuse of public funds. And in most cases, when they develop infrastructure projects, I mean, it's substandard. And when disaster strikes, the bridge collapses, the road collapses. It's not because of the disaster. It's basically, it's caused by substandard constructions. So these are the things. And at the same time, when you go to the rural areas, especially in these areas where indigenous people, I think this was mentioned a while ago, perceptions, cultural perceptions about natural disasters. So we have a very low, what we call this, culture of safety. It's not because they're not afraid, but it's because people have been sleeping with disasters. I mean, they're used to it, something like that. It's kind of a culture, and then if you get used to it, I mean, it doesn't worry you. And then they have that belief that if it's your time, then it's your time, something like that. So it's a sort of, so you could see the complexity of the vulnerability that we have, and then how do you address that? So and this is where we focus our disaster risk reduction education. So this is the context of our disaster risk reduction education. So, okay. So my organization, People's Initiative for Learning and Community Development, we are an NGO, and we're working in adult and community education. And most of our programs, actually our programs were crafted, were framed, were developed within the frame of contributing to the attainment of sustainable development. Okay? So, and then our education program is primarily anchored in the values and principles of what we call transformative education, or education for social change. So it's not simply about literacy, it's not simply about reading, writing. One core element is that development of critical thinking, to be active citizens, to contribute in the development of the community, and to build better communities. So we strongly believe that education is very important to human development, and it has the power to cause and effect meaningful change. And education for sustainable development is a major advocacy and area of work in our organization. And as I have said, all of our organizations, all of our projects are framed within the context of sustainable development. And disaster, for us, is a key sustainable development challenge. I mean, imagine, not only lives and properties are at risk, but the gains of our work to achieve sustainable development are at risk as well. So, when disaster strikes, I mean, in one quick sweeping moment, disasters can take away what we have achieved and worked hard for many years. Disasters take away everything, and including values, and that is very, very frustrating. And rebuilding costs 10 times more. So that is how critical the situation is. And education, we believe that education is important to build people's capacity to prepare, respond, and recover from disasters. It facilitates learning towards developing not only resiliency, but that of a culture of safety. Literacy and education plays a significant role in shaping people's adaptation practices. So for us, it is a poverty-centered approach to adaptation. Okay? So I will be sharing to you a set of different projects. So this is not just one project, it's actually 4 projects. And these projects feature a combination of formal, non-formal, informal, school-based, community-based. Basically, it's a mix of everything. So first is, in 2010 to 2011, we implemented a project entitled Disaster Risk Reduction Functional Literacy Project. So this project features non-formal and informal and community-based disaster risk reduction education using 2 approaches, or 2 platforms, we call it. One is through the alternative learning system that is implemented in schools and community, and it involves out-of-school youths and adults. So the Alternative Learning System, ALS, is a program of the government's Department of Education for dropouts in elementary and high school. It is for out-of-school youths, non-readers, and those who wanted to complete their basic formal education. So through this program, out-of-school youths and adults have the opportunity to complete their basic education through what we call an accreditation and equivalency test. If they pass this test, they will receive a certificate and they could enroll to college, higher learning activities. So what we did is that we integrated disaster risk reduction into that program. So the ALS has these modules, and we integrated disaster risk reduction to that. But we did not, we're not the ones who are teaching the youth. We trained the mobile teachers. We call them mobile teachers. We trained the teachers doing this. So, and then the second approach is a community-based learning activities that is participatory and action-oriented. So this is where we go directly to the community. So participatory and action-oriented. So when we say participatory, when we say community, it involves not only the people's organization, it involves the whole community, and that includes local government units as well. The local government unit is a part of the community. The government entity in that community is part of the community. So all organizations, community members, faith-based organizations, civil society organizations, schools, including schools. So participatory. So when we think participatory, community members are engaged and actually involved in identifying and analyzing the different risks and hazards in their community. So this, I think, this was shared a while ago, which is quite similar. People are doing community hazard mapping. People are working together, planning disaster risk reduction management projects, activities to reduce their vulnerabilities. And aside from focusing on disaster risk reduction, we also include learning about the impacts of climate change and its relationship to the changing disasters, climate change, and its relationship to the changing weather patterns, especially extreme weather events. We're used to typhoons, but we're not used to this kind of strong typhoons. I mean, so in just a couple of hours, it pours a lot of water, and then, oops, it's flood already. So that's the difference that we're having right now, and we're not very much prepared with that. Okay? And then from 2012 to 2013, okay, we implemented the project Mainstreaming Disaster Risk Reduction Education in Schools, and this involved teachers training in incorporating DRR, disaster risk reduction lessons, in how they teach in their subjects. And this also includes school-based activities. So aside from training the teachers, there is what we call school-based disaster risk reduction planning, management planning. So the school, the whole school itself, they conducted, we facilitated, we helped them conduct what we call hazard mapping in the schools, developing evacuation and exit plans. But then the main focus is the training of the teachers. So the teachers were specifically trained to identify entry points in their subjects and lessons to highlight disaster preparedness. So not only awareness, but equally important is to promote behavioral change for preparedness actions. So from language and literature subjects, social studies, science, to mathematics. So how do you teach disaster risk reduction in mathematics? So, okay, I think that's something new. But for example, this is how we trained him. So for example, if you give a problem about mathematical problem, you could make use of a disaster risk reduction situation. For example, this is a problem. So if a typhoon was spotted 600 kilometers from your area and it is moving towards your area with a sustained wind of 180 kilometers per hour, how much time do you have to move to a safe location? So you could see it develops numeracy skills, and at the same time it promotes critical thinking and promotes action for preparedness. So this is also true in language, music, arts, and the other subjects. You could actually put. So this is how we develop the teachers, how to do it. We're not introducing a new curriculum. We're not introducing a new subject. It's just a matter of reorienting the teachers. It's just a matter of developing, tapping the potential and the creativity of the teachers to really bring about disaster preparedness in their lessons. Okay? So teaching and learning materials on disaster risk reduction was also provided. If you're familiar with the materials of the Asia Pacific Cultural Center for UNESCO, the Planet materials, so they have these 4 planet materials, and the 4th series of the planet materials, planet stands for package learning materials for the environment. So the 4th series is about disaster preparedness. So it has a comics, a booklet, it has a, call this, facilitator's guide, it has an animated video as well. So we train the teachers on how to utilize this as well. And these materials are also being utilized at the community level, so not only in the schools. So, and then just recently, we just concluded our project, Strengthening Environmental Education in Schools and the Alternative Learning System. So it involved schools, the mobile teachers, and not only teachers, it involved also the school heads, the principals, and some local officials from the Department of Education in the region, or in Benguet in particular. So the approach is very much similar with the former program, training of the teachers, but the topics were more comprehensive and not limited to disaster risk reduction and disaster preparedness, meaning the environmental and social dimension of disaster was equally emphasized. So it is included. So basically the thrust of the program is to promote the values and principles of education for sustainable development in the teaching as well as learning management of the schools. So using disaster risk reduction and environmental protection as an entry point. So it's a platform. And then also included is the aspect of good governance and active citizenship. So these are important elements in developing resilient communities and in building better communities, better societies. So the teachers and school heads were trained about ESD and how this could be promoted and taught across the curriculum. And they were also trained on how to facilitate and integrate environmental issues in their subjects and lessons, not only in terms of knowledge development, but the point is to bring about values and positive actions for the environment. And after the training, the teachers had their school-based and community-based practicum. So they did this. So after the learning, they did that, okay? So in this project, we adopted the 4 planet materials. So the planet materials has this 4 series, as I've told you. Now, planet 1 is about water, 2 is forest, and 3 is about waste management, and 4th is the disaster risk reduction. So it's a very good, and then our current project is the strengthening community-based disaster risk reduction management and training in the municipality of Bugyas. So this is a participatory learning a project in disaster management. So all the communities, as I mentioned before, the communities, the school, faith-based organizations, all of the organizations and members of the community are involved in planning. So it's a participatory approach. So as you will note, these projects are different, but they have different donors and partners, but they have similarities and common strategies. So one of those, many of those, I think one is training of teachers and facilitators and educators from the formal, non-formal sectors and from the community. But we don't just build their capacities, but we also train them because we need to affect change of behaviors and develop their motivation and commitments to play their role in building their communities. And this is also true with regards to community leaders, decision makers, officials in the local government units. So we need this for education to really play its significant role in contributing to the attainment of sustainable development. And then there is a classroom and community-based approach. We ensure that the knowledge, the skills are cascaded down or transferred down to the community. So not only from the training, but we really ensure that they do utilize this knowledge and skills in the classroom and at the community level. And then the third is materials development adaptation. It's very important to provide learning and teaching materials for the teachers. But one thing, a note about learning and teaching materials, there are a lot of learning materials about disaster risk reduction out there in the website. And sometimes we just have to adapt them, especially that it's very expensive, it's very costly to develop materials. And what we did is we adopted these 4 planet materials, and it was very good. We tested it, and it worked, and then we adapted it to Filipino. And we even went beyond, because these are downloadable from our website, and it could also be downloaded to your Android device. So and then advocacy and partnerships. This is important. we need to influence policymakers, we need to influence decision makers. And partnership is very important. We can't do this alone. So what we're doing is that we're not only teaching educators, but we are trying to mobilize community to work together, learning to work together. Okay. So the significant lessons and insights is that DRR, in the context of Education for Sustainable Development, offers a holistic framework of understanding the interconnecting and overlapping issues of the environment, economy, politics, and culture. And this kind of education helps teachers, educators, learners, and community to engage and address not only their vulnerabilities, but equally important is affecting personal change from within towards developing a more inclusive and holistic solution to the problems that we're facing in their communities. And values is very important. And linking knowledge to values and change, so it's not just simply awareness raising, we have to change their behaviors to promote positive action. And then it can be taught across the curriculum. Okay. So the major challenge is one, in terms of the teachers training, there is this what we call sort of a resistance from the teachers in our place to innovations and creative approaches. They consider this as a sort of an additional burden or additional load of work. But in our experience, when provided with a so-called a good learning environment, and if their school heads, the school officials support them, and the local government units support them, they are very much motivated. So that's why in these projects, you really involve not only the teachers, but the whole community or the whole institution where the teachers are employed or where the teachers are part of. Okay? And I think this is where, and then scaling up. So speaking of scaling up, I'm not speaking about, I'm not simply referring to expanding and sustaining the project, but we refer on how ESD can take place in higher education institutions. So I believe that this is where it becomes more crucial. I mean, higher institutions, this is where future leaders and decision makers are shaped. And this is where the framework of these programs, and this is where the framework of this program go beyond resiliency and adaptation. And it also go beyond primary and basic education. So looking at it, understanding the realities of climate change and building social and individual capacities and attitudes for mitigation is important, but equally important is the development of values and perspectives of sustainable development and the capacities to take these values and perspectives into action. So I would like to end my presentation with some questions. First is, the challenges and risk of climate change is so daunting, and the intensity of natural disasters is magnified by the impacts of climate change, and many things on which our future development depends are at risks. It's our survival that is at risk, actually. Actually, one, if I may quote, I mean, the planet is fine, and the people are the ones who are at risks. Okay? So, how might we rethink education under these circumstances? Okay? Is it simply just enough to reorient education? And finally, many organizations are doing diverse but similar objectives. We have a large community of practitioners, organizations doing ESD. Actually, this conference has proven that. So the final question is, how do we move from a community of practice to a system that will bring about sustainable development? So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, our colleagues from Indonesia and the Philippines. I'm sure during your listening sessions, while they were speaking, there were lots and lots of questions which percolated in your minds, especially when they started questions. So, questions to questions. We will try to answer both, because we know that we're not just here to work on more of the same. Let's look at different angles, unique features of the presentations, as well as value added of the presentations to your already very rich existing knowledge and competencies on the subject matter of risk reduction. Now we open the floor to discussions and questions, clarifications, as well as other inputs from the group. May we acknowledge the gentleman from to the left of the podium. Okay.
神戸大学で、インドネシアの CLC について勉強しています。それとともに神戸市役所で働いている片山と申します。質問なんですけれども、インドネシアでは特に今日の識字教育と防災ということで、最初は防災と識字教育ってあんまり馴染みがないなと思ってたんですけども、今日アデさんのお話をお聞きしてハッとしました。でインドネシアでは学校教育と同等の教育を CLC で行っていると聞いてますが、今日お話がありました識字教育というのはCLC のみで行っているのか、それとも学校教育やその他の教育で行っているのかどうか、これを教えていただきたいと思います。お願いします。
Thank you very much. The good question. According to the Indonesian policy, I want to brief you about the general first. According to the Indonesian policy, but we have three lines: education, formal, non-formal, and informal. Non-formal, one of the non-formal as the unit program in the field is the CLC. According to this pilot project, like you know, but CLC in Indonesia is very different with the Kominkan in Japan. Relate with the disaster literacy. Because in like Papa Sijala yesterday said about the according to the formal line is already okay about the disaster from the what's the meaning prevention from this disaster. But in non-formal line, this is there is not a good organized about this. According to the situation, our center to think and to meet the team and observe before before going to conduct this pilot project to another places. And CLC is one of the unit in the grassroots. And is built in the community. So I make the pilot project CLC integrated with the program for to handle the refugees in the victim. This is in this pilot project. Why the CLC can do more in the field? We have two CLC and before the volcano eruption and before the disaster happen is already. But this pilot project is specific CLC to handle many kind of the disaster happen. The specific CLC in this the project is the first we invite the people to know what kind of the disaster like the volcano, like a landslide and a flood and others. And after that, who is can handle faster? Now this I provide the pilot project and the program to make the easy the problem. In the center, I make the laboratory, electronic laboratory, and the field we invite the field based training and learning hub. And the second one, we make the partner and the others. So CLC in this situation is very important in Indonesia. This is just one pilot project related with the disaster. According to this, the CLC is very important as an alternative handling for the disaster happening in Indonesia, particularly in central of Java. Maybe like this. Any maybe.
Did that answer your question?
一番お聞きしたかったのが、CLC、識字教育が CLC だけで行われているのか、それともそれ以外でも行われているのかをお聞きしたいと思います。
Yeah. CLC is the one of the unit in the community, but beside it, many unit to solve the problem literacy, like government and NGO. But this is the specific characteristic because related with the disaster.
Thank you very much. May we recognize the gentleman?
Okay, thank you. I'm from Indonesia. I'll add some answers. Yeah. Actually, logically, the material presented by my friend is also available or used in formal education. But you know that Indonesia has a very huge population, like explained by Mr. Fasli yesterday. Indonesian population is the fourth or the third biggest in the world, and it causes complicated problems in education. So what my friend Ade Kusmadi explained is this program specifically only for non-formal education. So it doesn't mean that it's not used for formal education. Of course, but for formal education has a specific program for disaster. So we just talk here in non-formal education, something like that. Thank you.
Thank you for the additional input. May we hear from other participants? May we recognize the gentleman to the left?
ギランと申します。インドネシアから来ました。今、名古屋大学の、教育発達科学研究科の方で、社会教育の方を今勉強していて、博士課程で、今勉強しています。アデン先生に対する質問もそうなんですけど、昨日のファスリさんの、基調講演についてもいろいろちょっと疑問もあったんですけども、インドネシアの場合、今日日本のその地域というふうに見ていくと、学校区があってそこに地域と、公民館があるというような形があるんですけども、インドネシアの場合は、どこの学校に行ってもいいような形をとっているんですね。なので学校区っていうものがなくて、地域との、つながりっていうのはやはりちょっと少ないような感じがするんですね。防災に関しても、例えば学校で行われていてもその地域に住んではいないので、地域の人とつながりというのはあまりなくてですね。で、質問というか、どのようにその地域とつながり、防災何かが起きているとすると、例えば自宅で災害が起きて、どうやって地域との連携を取れるのか、また、先ほど CLC についても触れられたと思うんですけども、 実際今僕ノンフォーマル教育についていろいろ研究してるんですけども、地域に一つの地区に CLC が3つとかないところもあったり、数に偏りがあるんですね。なのでその教育を受けられるところと受けられないところがあるというような問題点もちょっとあるので、どういうふうにつながりを持っていくのか、そしてどういうふうにこういうような、教育知識をですね拡大していくのか、たくさんの人に知ってもらえるのかっていうのをどういうような形で行えるのかって、そういう質問なんですけども、はい、ありがとうございます。
May we invite our speakers to respond to the question?
Thank you. The problem of CLC Indonesia is the first several CLC is have the problem what kind of connected with the another partner. But most of them in CLC Indonesia is already have networking and large, like in the pilot project and several CLC. Because Indonesia we already have more than 10,000 CLC. This is many various characteristic, and CLC partnering with the community. Maybe this is CLC inside in the community, built in the community. This is because the CLC from and for community. And beside it, CLC still have a problem with another partner. If it depend on the management. If the management is competent, then they can do more. And related with the disaster, natural disaster, this is just not much, particularly maybe just in several PKBM, particularly in the pilot project site. This is because the management of CLC must be make the new partner and new relation with the NGO and another partner can do the same vision to them. So not all participant and learner in CLC know what the disaster program, disaster knowledge. This is like this. Maybe.
Mr. Fasli, Honorable Fasli. Mr. Mapa before Mr. Fasli. No, Mr. Mapa first before Mr. Fasli. Sorry. Because he's going to respond also
Yes,
to the question. And then we go to Mr. Fasli.
If I'm right, I get the question is how can we connect with the community? Is that the one? That's the way I get it. So actually, connecting with the community. That's why we need a sort of a perspective that is more open. So when we speak of disaster, I mean disaster is a complex problem, and it requires a multidisciplinary approach. That's why partnership is very, very, very important. I mean, so for example, the schools, it's necessary that you really have to partner with the local government unit that has jurisdiction over that, because when disaster strikes, I mean, the whole community and the school is affected. For example, in the Philippines, the schools are usually made as evacuation centers, and this is one issue actually. So that's why the schools need to partner with the local government units. Actually, we have this what we make fun of it, or we make a joke of it, that when disaster strikes and then they evacuate to the schools, and then after, when the evacuees go back to their homes, and then the schools are the ones who suffer the disaster. It's called the post-disaster, because when the evacuees left, I mean, the school is messed up. I mean, so this is where partnership, coordination, and this is where multi or trans-disciplinary approach is necessary. That's why disaster is a complex problem. It cannot be solved by single organization. It's a whole community approach. And you need to connect with the whole community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramon. May we now hear from Dr. Fasley.
Thank you. To give you illustration, how what is the role of CLC in all aspect of education in broader. We have right now 73,000 villages. The lower administrative level, which has the autonomy, is the district level. We have about 511 district level, and then about 34 now provincial level. One province can as big as 34 million people here. So when the CLCs for the first time being introduced, is really cater for illiteracy program. And then because of the illiteracy need to be combined to some kind of rural empowerment or people empowerment, especially women empowerment, and then income generation through some kind of vocational training being introduced to the CLC on top of the illiteracy program. Once the need for education increase, because the age is already above the regular age in the formal schooling, they miss primary even though they want to go to a higher degree, then the equivalency program being introduced. So then they can move up later, parallel, even though the age group is much older than regular children in the school. Before that, we don't have compulsory basic education. We don't have 6-year basic education at the time. Now we have the 9-year basic education. So in terms of equivalency, is going to be reduced because being picked up by compulsory basic education. And then because ECD is not being taken care by the government, and ECD being introduced to the CLC. And then all kind of additional based on community need. For example, the rural, organic farming being introduced. So is it really contextual? So what's different between the school system and the CLC? It is true that we don't have the school zone, but every school named according to the village, according to the locality. So even though you can move to other school because of the quality, but the school still call according to the village, or according to sub-district, or according to the district where they are. So their school committee is part of the community. The link still there, but not as strong as the CLC, because the more the quality of the school, the more broader the participation from children outside the region they belong to, the school belong to. So I think very, very important to link between the CLC and the school system, because the human capacity, the human resources are much more in the school system to support the CLC development also. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fasley, for that very rich information. It is now 12:21, and we would like to attempt now to sort of semi-synthesize what happened in the morning in the 4 presentations before we dovetail into our group discussions. Actually, what we did this morning was the easy part. This afternoon will be the more challenging part. So, but then let me thank you for all those rich inputs in addition to the beautiful presentations of our 4 speakers. Now, just to attempt to summarize, this morning we saw 2 dimensions of CLC initiatives. The first one is the immediate context of DRRM, or the immediate context of disaster risk reduction vis-a-vis the CLC. The CLC taking the human phase while disaster is happening, and then the psychosocial post-traumatic activities of CLCs, and then that will try to input into the planning of future activities of CLCs for DRRM activities. The second set of speakers gave us dimensions on more systematic context of the RRM through interventions of the government as well as the non-government sectors in terms of organized planning of the curriculum, educational interventions, implementation, evaluation, reviews, impact studies, including the effecting some form of paradigm shift among our local government units or our government policymakers, and also impacting the mindsets of educators, and especially the institutions of higher learning, which we feel are still trying to grope their way around in terms of how they will link with CLCs in terms of the RRM. So thank you very much. And now we go to the more challenging activity in the afternoon. So let me give you my colleague, Ms. Fumiko.
はい、ちょっと伸びとか深呼吸とかはい、これからですね、ちょっと4人の皆さんの、発表を聞いた上で内職していただけましたでしょうか。なんかキーワードが出てこなかったとしても、これが自分の、最も気になった点っていうのを大事にしながらですね、ちょっとグループに分かれて、皆さんの自分の言葉でですね、それを思ったことと感じたことを、共有していただければと思っています。ちょっとですね、Who's non-Japanese speakers? 多分ですね、英語で、議論を、するのが得意な方とかですね、積極的に海外の方と一緒に入っていただいて、で日本語で思いっきり話したいっていう方はですね、日本語でお話しいただければと思います。5人か4人ぐらいのグループを、作っていただいて、大体この点に関してですね、皆さんで、簡単に自己紹介しすぎないようにですね、簡単にして、お話をしていただければと思います。ちょっと時間があんまりないんですけれども、昼1時までですね、お話しいただければと思います。近くの方でも、はい、お話しください。お昼もですね、そのグループの方で一緒に昼取っていただいて、議論を継続していただければと思います。よろしいでしょうか。近くとかnon-Japanese speakers maybe get together and discuss. Oh, anyway. 席も自由に動いていただいて、ちょっとやっていただければと思いますが、大丈夫ですか
？If you can kindly form yourselves into groups of 5 or 6, depending on the number of individuals who would like to join a group, and then choose your spot. The session hall is big, so if you can kindly do that. The non-Japanese speaking participants can please choose their group mates, 5 or 6 people, and then choose your area, choose your little corner of the session hall, and then you can have your little discussions.
大丈夫ですか。近くで、どこのグループにも入ってない方とかいらっしゃいませんでしょうか。大丈夫でしょうか。積極的に声を掛け合ってですね、共助の気持ちでお願いします。お昼の前になったら声をかけますので、I'll tell you when the lunch time is coming, I'll let you know. 感じ。これちょっと出しといていいですか？
あ、了解です。
はい。
じゃあ、しばらく。
ちょっと大人数なところありますけど。はい。
Pardon the senior moments of your facilitators. I think we need to choose at least one team leader who will also speak for the group and also some sort of somebody who will take down notes.
今、通訳のイヤホンしてなかった方にお知らせします。各グループで、1人皆さんの意見を代表してお話しいただける方と、ノート、メモを取ってくださる方を、2人ぐらい意識して、お話をしていただければと思います。
Does this PowerPoint, Kominka send us?
Okay.
はい、防災の、はい、そうですね、聞かれて、なんか似てるなっていうこととか、逆に違うなっていうことは、なんかありました、聞かれて。まあ、違うっちゃ全然違うんですけど。
まあ、組織いうか、
はいはい、
国の組織が違うの
はい、
かな、
そうですね。
学区はない学校の、そうなんだろうかな、政府はあるけど、教育機関とか、日本みたいにこの縦割りじゃないような感じが、
なんかそんな感じでしたね。
どこか一緒になって、そこへ集まってる感じで。
なんかね、一人の人は村の名前がちゃんとついてるから、やっぱりその地域との関係はあるみたいなこと。日本ほど学校って言われるかないんですよね。
そこが真になるのかちょっとわからないところがあるかな。
ああ、はい、そうですね。
大事だって言いながら、あんまりないような町内会みたいなないよ。広島県はないんだけど、町内会が。
町内会ありますよ。
ない。
ありますよ、町内会。広島。
町内会から現金を振るうから、向こうの町内会に受け取る人が、なんか、町内会は、出したら、災害。町内会がないんか、思って思ったんですけど。
うちの女優が今、町内会長やってますよ。
あ、そうですか。
地域広島の中で。
その中でも違うんだろうな。
町内会長今ちょうどやってるから。
日本でもそんなとこがあるから。
公民館も岡山市と倉敷市で全然なんか違うみたいですね、役割というか、そういう。
日本でもそんなとこがあるのかな。日本でもというか、その県によって。
県によって公民館の制度なんかは公民館に職員が出て岡山市で3人いますね、館長いるのが社会教育士とかいるのが大体の館は他の県だと貸し館みたいな場所だけ貸してますね、ような感じのところが
どっちか建物だけが民営
はいはい、そういう
コミュニティハウス
みたいな、はい、こういう講座をやったりとかっていうのもあまり地域のなんとか調べとかっていうのをあんまり一緒にやったりしないようなところが多いです。
国家が指導をしていただいた方が非常に助かったのかな。
そういう核になるようなのがないと。
さてどうするという最初の使ってがなかなかね。
はいはいはい、そうですね。
ここでよかったら。なんか
ここは似てるなっていうのはありましたね。似てるとか、地域がね大事だっていうのは言ってましたけどね。まあね、コミュニティ顔の見える感じ。
発表者はフィリピンとインドネシア。
そうですね。
来てる人もやっぱりそうね。
フィリピン、インドネシア、あとどこがいるかな。タイ
の人おらんね。
とか、マレーシアもヒンズー教会。マレーシアのイスラム教とインドネシアもそうですね、イスラム教がいて、でマレーシアなんかはそこに仏教とキリスト教もいてっていう結構ぐちゃぐちゃしてるらしいです。
シャツ、柄のいいシャツ、
はいはい、
あれ清掃でしょ。
あれは多分インドネシアだと思います。バティっていうあれみたいな沖縄のとかアロハみたいな、カリーユとかアロハみたいな。どれが一番印象的でした？
やっぱり我が国の岡山のです。
後期の
ことを言ってくださったから。
そうですよね。
話が分かりやすい。
上手にあった。もうそれ最高です。最高だったな、話分かりやすく。私らがしたのが一番いいと思いました。
コミュニティと
カの違い言われたら、意識してなかったけどな、あれ。公民館活動とコミュニティ活動。地区によってはコミュニティ協議会が前で、公民館活動が入ってる。
密の場合はもう一体ですか、大体。
コミュニティというのは違うな。コミュニティはしたらもう村小さい町内会の集会所みたいな感じ。町内会のまだ小さい。で公民館というからどういうかみんなのよっての教育の場というような感じかな。市から来るのは障害学習室から来るやつでコミュニティ。公民館は公民館独自で来る。公民館は大体学校の先生スタッフは大体感謝でもらえるような大体やらないですとか学習講座なんかはコミュニティは持ってないかな。ないです。公民館は全部
グループ9で。グループ9で。
なんか頭があんまり働かない。
地域の中にコミュニティが町内会がとかコミュニティとしてこういろいろ活動があってで公民館は学習拠点というか、まあ、集まる拠点で
そう組織から言ったら民間と官という分け方みたいな感じ。どちらかいうと
活動内容から言ったらそうだな。
コミュニティ協議会から民会とか地域の人の公民会からもう教育機関とかちょっと全体をまとめるそんな感じがそういう印象も
海外の方のプレゼンテーションだとなんかそれを NGO とかああいう団体がこう学校に教材を提供するとかなんかそんなね話もされててなかなかちょっと不思議な感じが僕は正直。
違うんですよね。学校の先生を教えるっていうのですね。はいはいはい。学校の先生を教える学校の先生が抵抗があるっていうこと
そうですね。結構おっしゃってましたけど、日本も一緒ですけど学校の先生忙しくてあんまりこうあれやこれや言ってもなかなかそうですよね。
大体こういうことを言えばそれだし学校の先生もサラリーマンかなとこういう親子
そういうことはないですよね。ここまでは言えるけどこれからは言えんっていうのがあったんですよ。敷地の問題と PK でお願いします。全部 PK レベルが違うんじゃないかないう気がしたら敷地の問題が出た。
ああそうですね。はい。
戸田さんと一緒にね
そこから入っていくのはな、だいぶ違うな。
日本ではね、識字教育ってもうあんまりもうないですね。学校のあれが。
大学生の再教育になる。
再教育企業に入ったかな。再教育。
学校にね、行かれる人はよくね、いますからね。だけどコミュニケーションはできるんだろうな。識字がなくて。
喋るのはもう喋れる。
専門的なこう動きがわからない。専門的な
とか、普段のわからない。料理はやれるし、料理の段取りは口では説明できるけど、じゃあ帰ってっていうともう書けない時間の。日本の戦後の、戦後でも識字率がそんなに低いってことはないですかね。
明治時代でやったんですが。
話でもあ あります？なんか特に女性とか子供の女の子の傷が一番
会話文集の明治入ってすぐだわな。北海道寺子屋ですよな。ここで行かんと。寺子屋は受けてない。
寺子屋みたいなイメージ。今の築地もやりながら。
誰でもいいです。
はいはいはい。それこそ民間の団体がやってるとか、そういう。
そのトップの方々
だと思います。トップとかマネージャーみたいな。はい。その教育担当の部署の部長みたいな人だとか、まあ組織がどのぐらい大きいかは分かんないですけど。寺子屋に近いなんかイメージ言われて
これが分からん。ESG は何で入ったかとか分かる。ESG は今の公民の CLC は公民。これ世界的な組織。
各地にある。だから
各地の
各国でどうもインドネシアとか、マレーシアに少しとかフィリピンとかそういうことだと思います。
日本だけないですよね。
日本は多分コミュニティ学習センターっていう、公民館みたいな
名前が違います。
そうですね。コミュニティの
リーディングセンター。
ラーニング学習っていうのラーニング
多分日本も多分馴染みがないんですよね、言葉が。どっちかですね。
そうですね。日本で使わない
コミュニティ学習センター。
障害学習センターとかがありますね。あれの地域の人多分ないですよ。もっとちっちゃいやつですね。結局公民館みたいなもんじゃないですね。建物はこんな立派じゃないです。
しっかりは社員料理だとかあるんですけど、たまたま今回来られた国の方にね、だから本当に失礼な言い方とかもやっぱり通ってるじゃないですか、いろんな意味で。だからどうしても制度がですけどね、なかなか
予算的にも国の予算も
全然違うと思うんで。
災害に遭うような台風の進路に乗ったら
絶対入れますね。入れますね。年間20回だよ、だから。
しかも災害にもう慣れて誰もなんか気にしないとか言ってました。
楽か岡山。
ないです。
来ないから。
いや、そうだよね。
そうはな。
また同じじゃろうみたいな感じ。
沖縄なんかでもそうだったんじゃないかな。こちらへ出かける人から、こっちから沖縄に出すことができる。住所を使われた台風が来るから。そういうこともある。だから、僕は大きな、台風が来たら、いいや、ぺしゃんこなしだから、そういうような、まだ向こうはそういうような現状かもわからない。
聞いてる感じだと、
あんまり下げてしまってもいけないんだろうけど。
はいはいはい。 災害が起きた時は割と同じような感じになるような気がします。
日本は暴動はね起きないんですからね。そうですね。それだけですね。違う。災害起きたら学校へ避難する。はい。帰るときむちゃくちゃして帰るっていう。あれは日本でちょっと考えたい。あれが教育になってくるからと思うんだけど。
あ、次に2つ質問が入ってて、あ、これ、うん、あ、そうですね。
Just want to sort of make them bond together and really converse. Thank you for the beautiful conversations that you have.
But they can continue during the lunchtime too. But start sort of aware,
Yeah.
not fully discuss it's enough, but start awareing these these
Because those
issues.
are the questions.
Yeah. Maybe just 5 minutes. Sorry, interrupting you.
Maybe at 12. our esteemed colleagues, it's almost 1 o'clock, so we can now dovetail from your open discussions to thinking about the two questions which were asked yesterday. Number one, what are the roles and contributions of your community-based learning mechanisms? And then the commitments, that's the second question. So let these two questions become your appetizers. So we hope you will continue discussing even during lunch.
すいません、通訳の機材つけていらっしゃらない日本人の方もいらっしゃると思うので、簡単にお話をさせていただきます。お話中ごめんなさい。いろいろお話が弾んできたかと思うんですけれども、そろそろ私たちがですね、ここでの話の成果をちょっとこういう集約的なやり方あんまり好きではないんですが、最終的な岡山で出す成果文章にも反映させていきたいと思っています。でそれで冒頭にも昨日ですね、ロビーさんからも話がありましたように2つの質問がありますね。簡単に言うと公民館がその ESD という視点から見て、その公民館であるとか CLC がどういう役割を果たしてきたのかということ、どういう貢献をしてきたのかということと、もう一個がこれから、どういうコミットメントを公民館としてしていきたいのかっていう、この2つの質問になります。で今ここで確実にこうだっていうのが出てこなくてもいいんですけれども、今まで話してきたようなことを踏まえながらこの2つの質問につながるようなことをですね、考えながら食欲にいいかどうか消化にいいかどうか分かんないですけれども、考えながら、グループの皆さんでですね、ご飯を食べていただければと思います。よろしくお願いします。コミットメントって、こうやって私が関わっていきますっていうような気持ちですかね。はい。大丈夫ですか？
そうですね。では皆様、話し合いお疲れ様でした。English speakers, do you have the system of the simultaneous translation? Okay. Okay, so we will go on to the lunch. そろそろではお昼に、したいと思います。Lunch will start at 1 and lunchtime will be end at 2, so we have 1 hour. 1時に、ご飯がランチの時間が始まって2時にはここでセッション後半のセッションを開始しますので、2時には戻ってきてください。So we will start the next session at 2, so please come back to this room until 2. Yes. Go back to the same seat. Go back to the same group, right? 同じ昼ご飯を食べてまた同じグループで、できれば話し合いしたいと思うので、同じテーブルに戻ってください。また10分前次のセッションの10分前になりましたら、ご案内をしますので、皆さんよろしくお願いします。So I will announce you the starting of the next session. So 1:50. So please come back at that time. So please go to the lunch place. the lunch place is go out and left hand side. So 出て左手です。Go out and walk and left hand side. Yes. 出て左手でございます。